So, how do you know that you're being authentic? How do you know that the things you say and the things that you think are really coming from you? It's a lot harder these days than it was when I was a little kid because we are constantly bombarded with different ideas from this. This little box is constantly giving us ideas that don't come from our own mind, they come from other people. Sometimes you'll listen to a video and consciously you forget about listening to that video. You forget about what it said. But subconsciously you hold on to those ideas that you learned from the video, and then you start to implement them into your life, and eventually it becomes indistinguishable whether those thoughts came from your own mind or whether those thoughts were fed to you. So these days, there's a lot of people that skate a certain way. There's a lot of people that skate a different way, but there are groups of people that skate a certain way. And why? Why do we have this group think? Why do we have this group mentality? How come every old guy has an Andy Anderson deck, including me? And how come every young guy is making fun of them for it? And how come every young guy is just regurgitating the ideas that they hear from Gifted Hater? And none of them are forming their own ideas, but somehow they think that those thoughts actually came from their own mind. Like, here's an example of a thought that actually came from my own mind. See that ramp over there? I hate that ramp. I hate mini ramps. I wish every ramp would be either 1 to 2 feet tall or 13 to 14 feet tall, because there is absolutely no reason for a ramp like that. The purpose of a mini ramp is being very small, where you can run out of it and you can learn technical tricks like flip tricks into grinds, stuff like that. That's why you have a 1 to 2 foot ramp. That ramp, if you try to do flip tricks into grinds and you don't know how to do it, if you're trying to learn a trick, you're just going to get hurt. Also, a ramp that's like 4 or 5 feet tall, you can't get air. You can't skate it like a vert ramp. It's pretty much useless. A vert ramp is easier to skate because you can get air. You feel weightless. It's so much more fun. I really enjoy skating vert ramps, but I really hate skating mini ramps. Look, it's not fun to learn stuff on this ramp. When you fall on this, you're gonna get hurt. You can't really slide out of it like you can on a vert ramp. You can't really run out of it like you can on a small mini ramp that's 1 to 2 feet. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So that's an example of something that I have thought and I have experienced. It's from my own life. But anything I say about celebrities or any of that nonsense, politics, most of that stuff is coming into my head from other places. From that little box over there that I left on the table because I don't want to deal with the radiation. Those ideas are not actually coming from my own mind. Occasionally they do, but not often. It's hard to tell these days because we are fed so much information every day. I feel like every single day I'm exposed to more information than I was my entire life before cell phones came around. So how would you know if the things you say are coming from you or if they're coming from somewhere else? Well, it's called subsession. It's how your body reacts to the stimulus or the words coming out of your mouth. You can use that information that's coming from your body to understand when you are being incongruent or inauthentic. So you have to start out by detaching yourself from all your thoughts and all the things you say. You have to assume that they are not you, which is just the case. You should assume that anyway. Most of it is just not from you. Most of the things you say or the things you think are not you. They're things that you've read or things that you've heard or things people have told you. That's a benefit in some ways because you get all those thoughts that people have spent a long time formulating. You can read ancient books like the Bible that are full of wisdom. You can read books from people who, created society, not the people who are currently destroying society. So you detach yourself from that. So you're no longer your thoughts or the things that you say, or you're no longer all of them. So now you have to think about which thoughts are actually yours. So think about the thoughts. Do they make you feel or seem weak or strong? Do they make you appear weak or strong to others? So we have all purged ourselves in the sake of trying to maintain our good name. We have all said something stupid, trying to look smart, trying to look smarter than we actually are. We've all said things that we've regurgitated from other people, and a lot of us really regret that. Many of us need to form boundaries in order to not speak everything we think, or not speak before we think. Because a lot of those things that come out, if we're speaking before we think, are not from our thoughts. They're from other people's thoughts. And they're regurgitating information that never came from us, never actually went through our mind. It's like someone else is speaking through you, almost like a different spirit has possessed your body. We all have a falseness about our self-representation. Nobody represents themselves fully and truly the way they actually are. If you say something and it makes you feel weak, and you can feel it in the pit of your stomach, it feels unauthentic, then just stop talking. Even if it's mid-sentence and you're talking to somebody and you just look like Mitch McConnell freezing on stage, stop talking. So sometimes we start to identify ourselves with our intellect. It's kind of the highest sin of intelligent people. But you are not your intellect. That's not necessarily who you are. You're not just a collection of ideas that came from other people and other shows and other books. That collection of ideas and thoughts in your brain is not necessarily your soul or your spirit. That's not you. If you are the observer, you're not that collection of memories. And maybe if that collection of memories dissipates and dies, you will go on. Pay attention to what you say. And don't necessarily associate yourself with what you're saying, and don't think that you have to defend what you're saying. And if you do this, you'll find out that a lot of what you think and say has nothing to do with you. There's a scene in Lord of the Rings where they're going over some kind of swamp full of dead souls. And those thoughts and those memories and a lot of the things you say, that's those dead souls just speaking through you. They're dead ideas that other people have created, and they're playing themselves out in your head. Some of them might be applicable to you. You might have the right to them. But a lot of your thoughts and a lot of the things you say are not even applicable to you. You're just using them to hide what you really think, to hide behind, to make yourself feel smart, to make yourself look smart, to make others think highly of you. People use cliches, and cliches are a bad thing the same way that the dead thoughts are a bad thing, because that cliche isn't you. The reason people use cliches is because it's easier than using your own genuine formation. It's easier than thinking of something yourself, because thinking of something new is going to take a lot more time, and these days we're all in a hurry and nobody really has time. If you say what other people think, or you use cliches, it's a safe place to be, because if someone insults you for it, you could think, well, they're not really insulting me. They're insulting the cliches, or they're insulting the dead words that I used from someone else. It's a place of safety so we don't get insulted for who we really are or what we really think. If you were actually putting your own thoughts out there and you get criticized for it, it would genuinely hurt. It would push you back in your shell. So growing up as a kid, I had a friend, and every time I learned a new trick, he would say, "Oh, I taught you that trick." And I was at his house, and I was wearing a flannel shirt, and he said, "Oh, you're just wearing a flannel shirt because of me." I won't mention any names, but his girlfriend said, "You weren't the first one to ever wear a flannel shirt." I probably was wearing a flannel shirt because of someone else, but it was probably my grandfather, because he wore a flannel shirt every day, even in the summer. Or maybe I was just wearing a flannel shirt because it was kind of cold outside. Either way, back in those days, it was much easier to be your genuine, authentic self, especially in your skateboarding. When I was young, I didn't skate with other people. I skated alone, and I didn't know anyone else that skated for the first few years of my skateboarding. Everything I learned and everything I did was just something that I thought of, or something that came to me through muscle memory and through trying things out. Later on, as I got older, I did see some skateboard magazines, skateboard videos, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater came out. I never had the first Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but I had Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I got it as a demo from Pizza Hut. When you got a personal pan pizza or like a kid's meal, you could get a demo. That definitely taught me some tricks. There's a lot of skate videos in that game. So yeah, let me know in the comments section, how do you know you're being your authentic self when you're skating, and how do you know you're being your authentic self in your thought life? A lot of times when I say something stupid, something that I regret, it's because those thoughts were not actually from me. They weren't even my thoughts. They passed through me without even passing through my mind. I didn't even think about them. I regurgitated the thoughts of others, the dead words of others. And that's why you have to be very careful what you listen to, what you put in your mind, because you are slowly becoming that thing that you put inside of you. The eyes are the window to the soul. The ears let things in. So be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful, little ears, what you hear. Because as you take in that information, you slowly become it. That is, if you allow yourself to believe that you are your thoughts, which you are not. You are something separate from your memories and from your thoughts, and you are something separate from your brain. You are the viewer, you are the consciousness, but the consciousness is not localized in the brain. We know very little about where consciousness sits, if it's the energy between the neurons, or if it is something entirely outside of the body and the brain. There are millions of documented near-death experiences where people have out-of-body experiences. Doctors have documented them, and people have had stories where they can identify things in other rooms in the hospital that they could not have known without some kind of real supernatural experience. So clearly science is important, but also clearly we don't know everything and we need to progress forward. That's what science is. Science is never thinking you know everything. Science is always admitting that you don't know everything. So keep these words with you today and be your true authentic self. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this kind of content, scroll through my channel, check out my other videos, and hit that subscribe button because I got a lot more videos to come. Thanks for watching.